Nuclear war is a threat when the global political climate becomes extremely hot. The world's wealthiest individuals are confined to an underground bunk where they must survive. A brief backstory of Max Barella, a young major and the son of millionaires, opens the series' action, which is built on plans for the new year. He grew up next to the daughter of another billionaire's cheaters since he was a young boy, and finally fell in love with her. But one day, while high and climbing, Max dies in an accident because he is a spoiled young man who does not understand grief. Guy was imprisoned after being convicted guilty of manslaughter. There, he consistently and methodically catches breams and even attends a training session. In the washing machine, astronauts. After concluding that he is superior than Gagarin, Max rocks and engages in unruly jail brawls. The prison fight club's first rule is to avoid disagreeing with Boyo. When the global political climate is closely monitored, Max is abruptly let loose for excellent behavior. He learns about the tough relationship between his father Rafa and this guy on the way out. Dad says they must travel immediately to a hidden underground bunker that has already been dug up like spring potatoes. 45 families can be housed in the 275-meter-deep financial cream shelter for the rest of society, which also includes an emergency supply of water chips. 2 can wait inside for their parents and the Falcon family without having to go outdoors beforehand. The deceased's father and sister. Come on, Dad, without costs. All right. It was revealed during the chat that Max fled the scene of the accident after it happened, abandoning a girl to perish. I promise you that I loved your sister more than life itself. If you abandoned her in this manner, you didn't love her. Manorva, the event's organizer, welcomes the attendees to their first supper together. Rich individuals are being urged not to urinate in their overalls before the event. They will be released as soon as the external situation improves. Maine, keep in mind that you are secure. Max gives Asia's sister her phone, which he stole at the accident site and secretly stored in jail. Crime fiction leaks hours of brass. At the first significant coastline divides, the bunker suddenly acts like a radish as she looks through the remaining entries. Organized terror descends from the first tier down to the safe dome, in order to lighten the somber mood. They watch the monitors there as conflict breaks out on the surface and nuclear mushrooms sprout like mushrooms after rain. Rafa tells Falcon that in order to mimic trauma and memory loss, he suggested that his kid leave the scene of the accident. He did, however, alter his mind and test throughout the trial. For a large stone in Clamon, Max got behind the wheel in his typical condition. The father so wished to impart to his kid the lesson that one must take responsibility for one's actions. Minorvos gets dressed up to volunteer outside to fix the antenna because the connection to the surface has been lost. Their spacesuits have video cameras that project images onto screens. The technicians rush back till it radiated to potato-level charred corpses here after wealthy people observe the radioactive ash fire and ruined bridge outside. But as it turns out, this record is a pathetic attempt to fool billionaires with what Minorva congrats team. They be entirely. Outside, everything smells and flowers as if nothing had occurred. Minorva enjoys reminiscing. How well organized and how a gifted but mentally ill brother was handed a scam long before they were put together. The team planned a convincing performance in advance, which included intentional elevator falls, panic fractures in the walls, and simulated shaking dust. The scenery was pre-built by the hired filmmaker to persuade a group of wealthy individuals to sit on the butt. The scene of the incursion into the radioactive was videotaped. That's right, not on Twitch either. Asia, seated on the toilet, watches her sister's message on Max's Vitoki phone. She discovers the next cubicle hanging in despair after hearing the noise. Using technology, a woman is able to remove it, and with the assistance of arriving staff, she is able to resuscitate. In the control center is Julia, the doctor. Julia laments that she is nervous and that things are getting out of hand. The oversight was unexpected. According to the leader, everything goes as planned. Therefore, if you're afraid, grit your teeth and get to work. Under a man who has been fatally irradiated, the team constructs a new scene using makeup. Under the guise of that seismic activity from the nuclear bombing, wealthy people are being sent back to their dwelling quarters. In the process of being settled, Freda Max's mother moves in with him after arguing with his father. Rafa is disappointed because he wanted to eat grief, but the cafeteria wouldn't let him. Yako, the security guard, shows up when Rafa goes to get supper on his own at an unexpected hour. Max defends Batya's use of prison techniques. In order to avoid creating needless tension, Minerva remembers the guards who came to the rescue, but Max keeps his trophy stun gun while he continues to gaze at Max's tails. Asia is aware that she eventually develops feelings for the deceased sister's Hale. A security guard interrupts her wet dream in the shower by requesting her stepmother. The honey part and Asia pass. A few individuals who have the appropriate blood type for radiation have been recruited. There is a planned play that includes this. Without negotiating with the sick, they are permitted a peek at them as if by chance. What's happening? Max and Asia both follow their stepmother. They are attempting to comprehend what is happening, but they are fighting a little instead. Rumors concerning radioactive contamination are propagated by individuals who release donors from the medical unit, which exacerbates gloomy moods. Asia puts her sister's phone in the garbage disposal out of a fit of rage. Julie, though, is unhappy with the situation. She feels bad about taking advantage of the destitute, disgruntled billionaires. Minerva makes an effort to soothe her. Maul Hewley, why don't you like Hewley? The doctor claims that after seeing how I pretend to operate on a filthy guy, he wants to quit the project and go back to doing real Aeschylean work. I didn't become a doctor for that. The brother of Minerva, after bringing her a sedative, after noticing that the doctor is anxious, Zero refuses to take the pills, and the young guy throws her down off the bridge due to her injuries. When bunker workers discovered a deceased doctor's body in the morning, Julia passed away immediately. According to Zur, she had a panic attack and was so depressed that she hurled herself downstairs. He watched the security footage. For the sake of the company, one of the project participants would like to view the recording in person. Prepared a spectacular ruse against the wretch. He is overly suspicious. Julie climbs on the bridge railing and jumps down without finding out how to justify Zero turns on filming on her. Nerves are carried back to the time when she was merely persuading her squad. Brother, join them in your righteous rage about class disparity. Their goal is to seize the wealthy people's property. For what reason did they think of a bunker beneath Roxanne? Zero created artificial intelligence. The organizers instructed them to record a message as if they were going on an endless vacation once Roxanne opened the door and no one from the outside world looked for the missing. Fed up with the commotion. Additionally, teams' nerves are exposed to the participants' phone numbers. Roxanne can mimic looks and speech because to round-the-clock video surveillance. Residents in the bunker, including the deceased Julia, replicate every aspect of the surgery room. These technologies are used by organizers to respond to the asphalt. You should respond with asphalt to Guillermo Falcone Roxanne, the company manager. Guillermo could tell him what? In order to provide the irradiated volunteer and the deceased a realistic wake, Minerva arranges a wake and reports that they go into permanent standby mode. The woman looks as though there are now restrictions on the merchandise. Younger Vorals fight in the cafeteria and get reprimanded. Additionally, the manager instructs Max to give Yako back the squeeze. By habit, Shocker Nia has changed her mind and wants her thrown phone returned. The worker heedlessly accepts when she asks him to accompany her to the last rubbish disposal under a believable excuse. As they pick through the rubbish, they observe how the crease press always activates at the perfect time. When the worker sees that the girl stole her phone instead of the memorial chain, she admits everything and discusses his ambivalent feelings for Max. The worker suggests that she either accept that he killed her sister or ignore it. Yako is sent to Max after he fails to bring back the shock. When guys get together at the gym, they tie up, which is essential for drama, but completely absurd in terms of a security brawl. Until a coworker diverts Yako's attention, they beat each other until they are covered in blood. Max then delivers the stinging uppercut. Asia discovers him in such bloody shape. Asia recalled attempting to straighten Max's sprained arm during her years in medical school. They are transporting Yako to the hospital unit. He never gets it together. Workers think he is dying from his wounds. Being the last one remaining, Minerva is compelled to look to Asia. A person with training and expertise in medicine is correct, administered via injection. She is able to bring the guards back, emotions. Max is charged with murder as a result of Minerva. Calm down right away. Yako let out a pump. She robs him of the astonishment. The technology is finally tested on the intruder of calm, instructs the other guard to take Kazi to the place where the fractured head was sewn up. Lust turns on the girl in the process, and she walks away. The man pursues in order to get the truth. Asia claims that she despises him and rushes to kiss him right away, but the last scenario only occurs in her dreams. In reality, she departs after saying these things in order to amuse the bored billionaires without giving them a chance to think. In order to try to get in touch with other survivors, organizers invite owners who speak other languages to a covert radio room. All of this is included in a program that has been planned. The radios are turned off. Burner employees from the other room say grieving radio operators even when they receive a response. Everything to ensure the well-being of the bunker's occupants. Ran out of petrol. I implore you. Let's take a seat. Feel sorry for us. An asylum, too. Create a group for psychological support. After divorcing his wife, Ruffa complained of desire during her meeting. Gilmo unexpectedly supports him by calling his final pal. If automobiles did not rise from the ashes of a nuclear fire near your friend's spot in the bunker, how does he think he died in a nuclear warfire and was still alive? They could be saved by spending a very small portion of your money. It also turns out that Galler asked Ruffa to give up his son. He intended to get revenge on him for his daughter's death, along with the sick person and a woman posing as a Christmas tree toy in the restroom. In order to avoid inciting the hunt for a billionaire, they have resolved a significant case that they have been waiting 20 years for. Using a computerized clone of Guillermo called Roxanne, a woman instructs the businessman to initiate a video conference. Was that the coconut that landed on your head? Hurry up! They persuade Walda that the boss is now more significant with his assistance. Make a personal connection with the new bride. They disrupt the conversation instead of resolving work cases. Regarding something known as BJ3, Minerva fears that since they are unsure of what Beach 3 is, her well-planned strategy would be thwarted. A woman recalls how their mother abandoned them and their brother when they were children, while Roxanne examines the data. They leaned on studying while they looked around the orphanages. Minerva was earning pennies before she started working as an architect on billion-dollar projects. In it, Karl Marx sang about class distaste, but he only proposed to conceal the wealthy 2 meters below the surface. Roxanne is able to comprehend that we are discussing the tribe stallion BJ, Shane's favorite pet Patchy, and third most costly thoroughbred horse, which his business partner wished. In order to keep the wealthy man Barva hidden, she orders the Ingrid mask to be opened for him. Max and Jim discover a fallen earphone at the scene of the altercation. Yako is wearing it. He is aware that visitors are being harassed by asylum officers. Switch off. Switch off. Cindy, the smell girl, seems to grab the gadget right away. Max mentions how she looks on a surveillance camera. Big Bro's unrelenting cap is on all of them. In order to heal an untreated wound, Cindy takes the man to the infirmary. They met Asia along the road, who checked the injured guard and then asked her out in a flash of insight. Due to the tears of anguish in his eyes, Guy gives way to the girl. For comfort, she requests the employee to give her a hug. The millionaire is spun about by a woman with a feminine appeal and booze in the bar. Max's appearance as he pumps medical alcohol for disinfection in the hospital is interrupted by conversation. Solhei insists that the banquet go on. Themo leaves because he dislikes the neighborhood where the daughter killer lives. Ingrid follows the boss's instructions and offers him privacy in a different office. After a couple discovers Fried and informs Mimi about her husband's infidelity, they kidnap Grandma Victoria. The women's battalion engages in combat. Minerva cuts the electricity to break them in the elevator, and they leave in a hurry. A game of truth and lies is presented to the billionaire by Ingrid Mass. She is posing inquiries. She responds with whatever response she can think of after he writes the truth on a piece of paper. Was he lying? When Ingrid reaches for the promised kiss, he will be able to decipher the code from the millionaire's safe, thanks to hints from video cameras and headphones. Mimi enters the workplace to engage in a dull argument without resorting to violence. Meals from Muzzles are sold out. Disappointed that everything broke, Gilno discovers Asia with her sister's phone when he gets to the flat. When she realized it was Matt, he offered her a gadget. The man approaches him to resolve the matter, clearly implying that he is to blame for the deaths of his wife and daughter. To prevent him from approaching the last lady in his family, a billionaire beats a man. Using a vase to strike the head ends the struggle. Man is broken up by Frida. She gives Guillermo a surprise kiss as her son leaves. They have been muddying with one another for 20 years, it turns out. Occasionally diverted by morning teams, lovers and mistresses, legal spouses, and others. Upon arriving to the Falco mansion on the asphalt, Nerves calls up. The Gilmo cat, as it turns out, is 1 digit smaller than you need and doesn't have time. The password will be dictated by Roxanne using the digital decoy. How does the interlocutor know his goddaughter's birthday? The first significant accomplishment is celebrated by the bunker cheats, one of several proposed. I will always remember my goddaughter's birthday. Right now, the millionaire is cuddling in the spa. Currently, Freda and her partner have been together for half of the Santa Barbara series. When Mimi and her husband split up, she feels terrible. She descends the elevator to the secure dome where she falls emotionlessly. Guards discover her on the cameras and take her to the medical facility, where Asia is also seen arguing with Max. At this point, Max himself asks, "Did Roxanne not follow him? I can hear you, even though I don't have that feature right now. How may I be of assistance?" After getting a negative answer, he stealthily removes scissors from the restroom and tries to remove the bracelet under the blanket. A man comes to Minerva's office after failing in this challenging case. He wants to talk about security cameras, microphones, and bracelets. According to the bunker's leader, the purpose of these devices is to protect all visitors, as even the most violent ones, like him, will have to endure some inconvenience. Asia uses a database and analyzers to examine Mimi. She is able to identify an uncommon liver condition in her. Dialysis, an artificial blood purifying process, is his sole hope of salvation. But if other medications don't work, there isn't any equipment in the dungeon for him. The stepmother then has a maximum of 3 days to live. Mimi, feeling self-conscious, requests that Asia keep her father from seeing her. They parted ways. Dad is dutifully asked not to enter the ward by the daughter. He visits the tavern in sorrow. Max. We're banging already. Man tells him that Mimi is dead and apologizes for fighting, recalling Freda's wish. The man heroically pledges to think of something, then travels to Asia to have a private discussion with a couple who retire in a remote location. The session begins with them discussing how they are as infatuated with one another as Ketchen is with dumplings. But it is actually cheating to listen in on a conversation. On sheets of paper, guards prepared inscriptions. A guy approaches his girlfriend for assistance. He wants to fetch a dialysis machine from the hospital, a few kilometers away from the bunker. However, to do this, you must circumvent the entire security system. In what way does he require her assistance? To go over specifics, they decide to meet at his flat later. For the benefit of a shell company, the asphalt is currently being flown to Hong Kong. Minerva and his colleagues came up with the idea to use these antics to raise money for Falcon Company through a network of 93 businesses that will bring in money from all over the world. At the moment, Falcon is seeing Freda. The woman says she is prepared to move their connection from a private to a public setting. Guillermo's value system isn't ready, though. The level of friendship with Ruffa is marginally higher than that with a friend's wife. To avoid upsetting that partner, they refuse to disclose their bond's gaze. Freda responds by asking, "What we'll do without him?" and luring Jaco just as he is about to breathe. At this point, Max requests that his father leave the apartment so that he can go on a date with Asia, and the guy admits that he gave him up to the police for protection. Galler threatened to employ thugs from a different neighborhood to cause him irreversible harm. Asia permits Mimi, who is ill, to leave the ward and go to her residence in Victoria. The boy is where? Additionally, the elderly woman is pumped with morphine prescribed for cancer-related discomfort by a personal nurse. If I can't afford a lobster, then I don't need a lamp. There was no acid, regardless of how much acid mouths were used. Max is visited by the girl herself. To block out the music chat, they are wearing speaker bracelets and hanging the camera Roxanne. "Distract security," says Max to the scheme. "Leave. Save everyone by chasing after the dialysis equipment. You must trim down Roxanne in order to crank it." He intends to do this by closing the wiring and punching a hole in the wall. Later, when equipped with the required equipment, after going to surgery, the couple uses makeshift tools to breach into the bunker. Max then cleans for closure and removes the resulting wiring holes. In his capacity as a former radiation employee, Asaldo contacts Digital Galler from the office front company, which supposedly purchased some Italian maniers. Roxanne switches off from circuiting at this stage. The bunker will de-energize. Instead of the boss, a businessman appears on the screen. Unknown logo. "What's going on here and what's making you think?" Such like this. "The first circuit is being checked. At what precise moment? Rebooting the system is necessary. The hole is neatly sealed by conspirators. Then move on to the following stage of the procedure." Max swears with the security as they travel to Jaco to act out a jealousy-based fight pilfers a communication set of headphones, though his mother accompanied him to the theater at that time. Yako admits to XEU that he did not play Dota. Max nearly pulls it off when he rips off the bar girl. The man visits his mother in order to learn more about her morals and marital status. He discovers that 28 years twist Shashanev with Gulmo, causing him to feel weightless and light. Max gets shaken out of his rut by information. In this case, it is possible that he must even be his deceased girlfriend's brother. She generally swam like a bug on the waves, endangering the entire enterprise. With hints of possible incest, Asia is able to wake him up without kissing him. Max informs his father that he was cheated on by his mother. Victoria drugged Mimi at this point and went to a friend to complain about his mother-in-law. He responds by asking to speak with Freya, whom Guillermo has known for a longer period of time than she has been with the family. Conversation in the restroom, however, transitions into mild BDM with humiliating overtones. Before his wife passed away, RAF confessed to someone, so why is he monitoring outside on his way out? Discussed a number of his mistresses with her. After the flight, Minerva and his friends are undergoing surgery to frown the asphalt, which is preventing him from falling asleep. They send a businessman to a restaurant while posing as a boss. An unmarried man is already waiting for a ready-made Ingrid, alcohol and a little charm. They then proceed to the club, where drug use is linked to the match's promotion. Favorite music and extras that were specifically hired. A romantic evening spent with an exotic beauty comes to an end in the hotel room. In the bunker, where is the girl who just received a call from her parents? Asia and Max, the plumber, will remove the obstruction. The conspirators use a sleeping shot to put him to sleep when the tears stop. Putting on an orange jumpsuit for work, a girl breaks into a warehouse of home chemicals. Where are all the daughters of billionaires learning this practical competence in medical courses to poke the ingredients for the homemade bomb? To put it mildly, they then create an explosive device that is based on a kettle. Angry hungover asphalt under false pretenses, Guillermo travels in order to negotiate. The businessman is led to a private plane after the scheme is completed. When the power goes out in the bunker first, followed by an explosion in the server room. Minerva and his friends celebrate the first triumph of the proletariat over the bourgeois. To create a panic, they bust the hallway with fire extinguishers. Max and Asia are wearing headphones as they make their way down the emergency stairs to hide from onlookers. The girl returns to the room to seal the hole and remove the evidence as the guy sneaks upstairs, but she is pressed for time. Yako brings a specially issued pistol to the residence. At gunpoint, he wants to take the girl away for interrogation after spotting a sleeping janitor. Minerva then shows up and requests that Asia pump out Mimi. Finally, alcohol and morphine killed her. A girl is attempting to revive her stepmother, but her efforts are completely ineffective. A poster with a well-known face can be seen in a bank of asphalt in front of the aircraft. The actress played the grandma of his only girlfriend. He searches for her online because he thinks something is amiss, but the scam crew has already cleaned everything up. Pages on the company's social media accounts and a fake nightclub. Panicked, he orders the pilot to turn around, then turn around again and return. Esaldo rushes to the business office where $900 million was moved in the morning, but they are already empty. Disappointment residues are only removed by unmarried cleaners. After that, he calls his supervisor to report the matter, but he believes that he is being nurtured by some unrest phony during the talk. He is threatening to call the police, since Manrevia doesn't need this publicity. She instructs Fatim to remove the item, and the henchmen in the crowd are gently removed because they are superfluous. A fugitive wearing a protective suit breaks his neck, and he uses the elevator to the exit next to the steel door. Asia informs him over headphones that Mimi is dead and that he should not take any chances. Max admits that he wants to feel like a Fallout hero and come out dumping for Mozented family members. He opens doors. A bright, dazzling light strikes outside.